So this is Mike Weber from Balfour, Beatty?
Balfour, Beatty. Go ahead and flip it through, just flip it on, Weber.
So we're going to be talking about construction, inspection, surveying, mapping. You good to go?
All right. Go walk away with it.
So thank you for having me, everybody. I'm here on the total opposite end of what we just heard. I'm using Inspire to help me manage my contracting process. Specifically, grading is what I'm in right now on a big project. A company through a Stanford alumni network contacted me. I'm not Stanford, but that's how they contacted me. And they're rolling out a pilot software. And I was doing a mass grading project, a small one, 2 acres. But I have a 100-acre site, it's 80 acres for Palomar North Ed Center. And that's going to be 1 million, yeah, it's on 76 and 15. And that's going to be 1 million cubic yards of earth we have to move. So I wanted to use this software that I'm going to share with you guys today as a pilot on my current project so that I could get it all fine-tuned and help them develop it so it'll serve me better on the next project. So I'm using two different softwares. Drone Deploy is what I use to map. That's the autonomous flight program. I need to fly this pattern, this mission. And then I download, or upload rather, the pictures that come out of the Drone Deploy software to Trace Air, which is the program I was just discussing. My project, just to give you some context, is on Mesa College down in the heart of San Diego. So here, this is the flight chart for San Diego. So you can just see all of the different airspaces. We're actually right in the middle of that Class D airspace for Montgomery Field. So I did get a COA, and I talk with the air traffic tower every morning when I call. I call at 7 to 7:30 in the morning, ask for clearance up to 400 feet. They reroute everything, give me what I need. And even though I have 100 feet, basically carte blanche here, I feel a lot better when I talk to them and they've got all the traffic out of the area. So one of the really cool things that was kind of unexpected for me when I started doing this was the aerial pictures from the drone give me context and perspective of what my blueprints actually are. You never really see your site like you do on your blueprints. So this creates another perspective that's just really helps enlighten what's going on your project site. This is our project site. It's been graded. So all of our earthwork is established and we're getting ready to start foundations. So what you see here in the white is the chalk out from the concrete contractor who's going to dig foundations. He's laid them all out there. They're all surveyed in. And one of the really cool things about this software that I haven't seen in any others is it gives us the ability to overlay CAD drawings. We have all our CAD drawings, our engineer drawings, are geospatially located, X and Y coordinates, as well as elevation. We have ground control points, so we're able to marry those two images up and really make sure that we're building the building where it's supposed to be built. So here again, the foundations have now been excavated, and this is another day's shot, but you can see the building has been laid out in accordance with the perimeter here. And one of the really cool benefits, we had to go 10 feet out. We had to dig down 12 feet deep and then bring that dirt all back up, compacted so that it was structurally stable. So we were supposed to go 10 feet outside of our building limits. Our grading contractor didn't realize we had this little pop out here. So I had a shot, I don't have it in here, but I had a shot where he just took this line straight out. What would have ended up happening is when we excavated for our foundations, the engineer would have seen, hey, you're in partially structural fill and partially native fill. We would have had to go back out, dig it all back down. We would have lost days and time. I happened to catch I fly every day, so I saw that the grading contractor just done a straight cut, brought him in, showed him the drone flight. He just went right back out there, graded that pop out, and that saved, I don't know how many hours and arguments and dollars and delays. So that's a good benefit there. One of the other things is we've been able to do proactive discovery and request for information process. This is an example. We had our site all graded and we were ready to start. Well, we had it partially graded, 75%. We hadn't got to this corner yet, but we needed to get our underground utility guy going. So the surveyor came out, he laid out the storm drain, And my superintendent and I were walking, and this is the storm drain existing we're supposed to tie into. And the survey stakes for where the new storm drain was going to go, just it didn't seem right per our plans. Something didn't seem right. So we typically would have had to get the surveyor back out, check his staking, get our grading contractor out, do a bunch of checking and reworking. But we were able to just say, let's go check the drone flight. Let's overlay the CAD drawing with the utility. And what we were able to see was the blue dots here are the existing storm drain that we were supposed to tie the new storm drain into. You can see how close it is to the building. We turned on one of our tools, which is this red layer, and that's how far outside of the building we had to go down 12 feet. So our hunch was right. It took us 2 minutes to discover this. We wrote an RFI to the engineer and said, hey, can we move the storm drain? He said, yeah. So we wanted to move it to where the green dots are. We did. When the grading contractor got to the overX area, he was able to continue. Our storm drain was installed. There it is, no issues. Everything was out of the way. We saved probably a week, 2 weeks worth of rework, tens of thousands of dollars, more arguments. And just to give you some context of how the program helped, we're just in a big field. So to be able to figure out that couple feet difference, it could have made a huge impact for the project. The software was invaluable. Another use case for the software is it does volume calculations. This one I'm going to show you right now is called an absolute volume. So all of these piles of concrete that are crushed, they belong to me. The grading contractor wanted to use them to create some of that structural fill. I said, okay. It was an emergency, so before we could come to a resolution on price and quantities, he used it, and at $18 a yard is what the going rate was. We had a dispute on what the quantities were. He said it's 1,500 yards. I think I've got the numbers in here. I said, no, it's 3,000 yards. We would have gone back, we would have gone back and forth, and I probably would have compromised with him somewhere in the middle on the money that he owed me. But we went to the software. You can pick a absolute volume tool, outline it, boom, it spits it out, right? This is all through the photogrammetry process, so we've got all of our elevations. It was 2,828 yards, so that was a potential loss of $23,000 to me on the sale of that crushed concrete to that contractor. So just, in the old days, we would kind of thumb, we'd say, oh, it looks like a cone, it falls at 1-to-1, the base is about this much, but this is accurate. And we've actually got, we've done some test cases. We took a square metal toolbox that we're able to get an actual volume, length, width, height, really solid volume. Back checked it against the software. It's all been within, elevations have been within 1/10 of a foot, and volume has been right on. So we've got some templates to say, hey, look, it is accurate if we ever get in that dispute case. Yeah.
What is the software that you're using for this particular?
It's called Trace Air. It's a company. They're actually founded out of Russia, so Trump hooked me up. But they have a home base here in the Bay Area, and they're trying to get more into the construction process before they just did a big oil field, just massive grading projects. So that's why I said I'm helping them develop tools to be applicable to the construction industry. Here's a different calculator that we use. This one is for backfill quantities. So you'll see this is the foundation's going to be excavated. Site's all perfectly. This is where it needs to be returned to. Concrete contractor came in, dug up everything, especially down here in this corner. This is about an 8-foot elevation difference. So he had to take a lot of dirt out to be able to put the foundations in at their appropriate elevation, bring a big cast in place wall up, and do it all safely. So end of the day, he asked if I could use the software to help him calculate how much dirt we have to bring back to get everything restored to grade now with the foundations in there. So I said, I'll give it a shot. And what we did, if you can see the blue outlined area here, I compared two drone flights. The one from May 5th, which was the finished grade. This is where it needs to be returned to. And the one from June 27th, where they're ready to start backfilling. Able to compare those two scans And what is the difference? So the software spit this out. There had been 275 yards removed and 99 yards put back in. So the concrete, the formwork, everything that's in here. So a net of 176 yards is what I've calculated for him to bring back to the site to restore the grade. I'm waiting for him to back check this. He's doing his calcs today, and so we can do some comparison. I'm not quite sure how accurate my data will be with all of the equipment and the piles and dirt in here, but it gives us a good starting point anyways. And then every time we fly, it creates a cloud point. And on our 2-acre site here, I think we are getting a little over 2 million survey points that are all geospatially located, X, Y, Z. So there's some other really neat things that we can do. We can spot check elevations and coordinates. This has been accurate to within 1/10 of a foot, which is industry standard for us, is perfect. The little blue arrow here, you just click on it, drop it there, and it brings up everything here, both latitude, longitude, and these other coordinate systems, and the elevation. This is another really, really neat tool. This is one that I helped the company develop. So in our industry, a lot of times we have to, what's called over-excavate, go down that 12 feet, and then bring it all the way back up structurally so that we can build the building on it. My soils report told me 12 feet here. My geotech said, well, we might be able to, what we start encountering, we might be able to reduce those limits. But I had to cover my bid for the whole 12 feet in case I did it. What we have here on this graph here is we have a target surface of excavation. That's 12 feet down. The black line was the original topo, and the blue line you see here is the current topograph of the conditions on this drone flight. So you can see I drew the line through the site like that. That's what this section is. That's a slice vertically through there. This white dot right here, as you move along this vertical bar tracks with you, and that white dot moves to tell you where on that line you're looking at. So you can see here, we've got a deep hole, right? We're in the depth of that deep hole. And then I took another shot over here. See this peak? This is one of my favorites. That's the peak of a piece of equipment. So we also had an excavator out there with like a 30-foot arm, and you just see this massive spike. So it's been very useful. I'm really excited to use it on the mass grading project. One of the problems I've had at Mesa College, even though I'm building a center for business and technology, they're really adverse to me using technology in the business. So I've got limitations on flight times. I can only travel or fly from 7 to 7:45 in the morning. I can't always get a hold of the control tower. We're right on the coast, so a lot of times it's too foggy at those points. So I've got gaps in my data. But one of the really neat things is if I did fly that day, and somebody put a pipe in the ground and buried it and didn't ever, as-built it, give me, measurements of where I can go find this later. If I have a scan from that date, I can go do measurements out of the program. So nothing's really ever lost if you have a scan from that day. And that's it for me.
Questions?
I know that, so coming from Mesa, I know that they've had several new buildings built there. Was this process employed for the math and sciences or exercise?
No, it was, so this is my company built the exercise science and then the Mesa Commons, and then I got on the project, this new project where we tore down the old bookstore. We had it torn down, and in about November, that's when this company reached out to me. And so I got it in just in time for the grading portion. So this is brand new technology, and it's going to be fun.
What was the name of the Russian company?
Trace Air.
Trace.
Trace Air. Yeah.
You talk about your workflow from launching the drone to recovering the images to actually generating these cool calculations.
Yeah, so drone deploy, the initial time you set up your mission, it'll take a couple minutes to find, your map and find your location. But then every mission after that, you have the option to copy. So that takes me 2 seconds to copy a mission. It goes up. It's only a 2-acre site. It only captures 35 images. You have to get your side lap and forward lap set correctly. They've got instructions. My flight lasts 2 minutes and 33 seconds. And then, that's from launch to land. And then I just have to upload 35 photos to the process or to the cloud, to their software. And if I get them in early in the morning, they process everything over in Russia. So the time differentiation, if I get them in early enough, they're still working, and I can get them by like 10 in the morning. And if I get them in the afternoon, when I come in the morning, they're ready. So it doesn't take them more than, I'd say, an hour to do the processing on their side. It just depends on when we actually connect.
So once they do the processing, then you have this available in some kind of a, what do you call it,
Yeah, I have
a panel or a?
It's a software program. You just log in, and all of your tools and
It's their program?
it's their program. Yeah. If we have time, I can log in and
through a software app.
you log in through a portal. Yeah. If we have time, I can show it really quick if you want to see it.
Is the sensor technology proprietary?
No, this is just off the DJI, off the camera. It's an Inspire 2, so it's got the 4K camera.
Do you use any ground control when you?
Yeah, we have 5 ground control points, which is challenging for us because we're constantly tearing shit up, and so we lost a couple at the beginning, not thinking, but now we've got them outside of the project limits, so they're there in good shape.
Why did you choose to not use drone deploy for the processing?
Because drone deploy does not offer these quantity calculations, and they don't offer the ability to import CAD. Because I talked to them at length about that, and they said they have a beta test they're going to try and roll out in the next couple quarters. They have one volume calculation, but it's just absolute volumes. I need to be able to compare four surfaces: my original topo, my target, my current, and my design. So at any given point, I need to be able to compare all 4 of those to see where we're at progress-wise.
Did you also evaluate the 3DR product?
I did not. And I'm, like I said, this just came into my lap in November. I jumped on it. I took the test. I got the COA. So I'm as fresh at this as anybody. So their product is, their pricing model is probably their biggest drawback right now. But I've worked a deal out with them to where that pricing model holds for 4 jobs. So as I bring more jobs on, my cost will, half, quarter. So.
Are you starting smaller jobs and scaling up? Because I mean, the Palomar, our north campus is going to be pretty big.
Yeah, it's 80 acres, and we have to move 1 million cubic yards of dirt. So.
And what was this? This was like 1?
This is 2.5 acres, but I already knew I was managing the Fallbrook job when this came up, so I wanted to get this one for my beta test to get it worked up so that we can do it there. Yes.
So the trace there is a service, like a monthly type service?
Yeah, and they've been flexible with me for negotiating, but they're still pretty pricey.
Like just the money that you save, calculating the gravel, calculating the cost of having to move that drain and stuff, you save yourself maybe 50,000.
Yeah, it's paid for itself, and I also asked the owner if I could offset my costs for any credits that I am able to bring back to them. So while it's going to be paid for, I still feel it's pretty expensive, especially because if I want to just have access to it, long after my project's done, but I need to go back and find that pipe that somebody buried, they want me to pay a monthly fee still. So I'm still working on that with them.
Have you done sort of side by side with Fix 4D?
No, like I said, this is the only one that I even know. But I was writing some down up there. So Pix 4D, and then you said another one? 3DR.
It's called side scan.
Okay, yeah, I'll check those out. The CAD files was the showstopper for for drone deploy.
You mentioned the CAD files. How do you deal with the CAD files? You have to upload those, or do you hold those locally and it overlays?
We send them to Traceair, and they upload them, and they get them into their software.
And then at the end of your project, then will they give you all that data back, or are you expected to hold on to that data?
No, they can give me a printout of whatever I need, and I'm actually working with my BIM department right now, because we do all of our 3D modeling on our buildings. So I'm trying to figure out how we can get our Revit, which is our 3D modeling, integrated with the Traceair, so we can start kind of marrying all of the technology together.
So when they hand you back this data, it's a point cloud,
I have no idea what it's going to be.
and their pricing model is based on the volume of data that you send them, or it's based on a monthly fee?
It's based on quantity of projects.
So it's the cost by project, or so
It's
this
cost by-
project will cost the same as the larger project you're going to?
Yes. Yeah. And right now I'm paying for 4 projects, but I only have 1 to cover the cost. So as I can bring more projects on, then my costs will quarter.
So this project was about 35 pictures per day.
Yep.
And what are you expecting your next project to be, about 100?
I think it's going to be 190. They did a test run for me, because you can do a simulator and drone deploy. It'll take. They're based in. They are Russia, but they have an office in San Francisco that I deal with.
Because it doesn't exist under Traceair, otherwise it's 2 words.
Traceair.net is the
Traceair Dynamic.
.net.
.net.
Yeah, that's their website.
Great job. Appreciate it.